Alright guys, it's kind of a dreary day today, so we're going to be taking a look at the new plane, November 2905 Bravo. It should be a pretty cool little tour. I haven't seen very many of this particular type of plane out there on YouTube, so I thought we'd give you guys something to look at here. So follow me around. Alright, so this particular plane is a 1979 Cherokee 6 300, 300 horsepower. So they made multiple different variants of this plane throughout the years, but this is the later year, right before they introduced the Saratoga. So this is a 300 horsepower, normally aspirated, non-turbocharged aircraft, and it's got a lot of different modifications on it, which make it essentially like a fixed gear Saratoga, just without the tapered wing that the Saratoga has. This plane has the standard Piper Hershey bar style wing. So it's non-tapered, it's a straight airfoil. And out here, this is not the standard wing tip. These are the Lopresti zip tips. So if you see, it actually extends the trailing edge of the wing out quite a bit. Normally they would taper into about here and it'd be rounded, but they extend it out about 8 inches and scoop it under. So it's a really cool look, but it also adds takeoff performance and speed performance. And then we also have a pretty cool feature here. The wingtip lights are now integrated inside the airfoil here, so you don't have those creating drag out here like the normal Piper ones would have. They're in this clear lens here. We also have wingtip landing lights as well, which is a new feature that wasn't on the original Cherokee 6s back in the day. One nice feature of the 1979 model was the change of the fuel system. So the original Cherokee 6s had a more complex fuel system where you'd have main tanks, and then you'd have a wingtip tank out here, and you'd have 4 filling points, and also a 4 fuel tank switcher within the plane. This model still has 4 tanks, 2 in each wing, but it has 1 filling point which fills the outward wing filler tank here, and then that flows to the inboard tank right here, where you also have a fuel gauge right here. You can take a look at that here. So basically this will tell you how many gallons are in your inboard tank right here. So we know we have just a hair over 25, and this configuration of the plane will hold 98 gallons total, with 94 of those gallons being usable. So if we come to the back of the wing here, we see that the airplane has the standard Piper mechanical flaps here. So it's a non-electric flap, it's a mechanical flap lever, which some people prefer. Some people like electric flaps. It's just a personal preference. Of course, weighted ailerons here. And there was a lot of work done on this aircraft when we initially bought it. Basically, all of the control surfaces were inspected, and maintenance was done as needed to get those back into smooth condition. So you see, you don't have any play in the ailerons here. And coming back here, I'll show you the interior of the aircraft, the back seats here. So fairly simple configuration for the back seat and the doors as well. And I'll open up the cargo door. That's one nice feature about these aircraft, are they have a nice large cargo area in the back of the plane, and then also in the front of the plane, as I will show you in a couple minutes here. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the interior here, and what you'll see is this is the club seating interior, club seat configuration, and that didn't come about until the later years of the Cherokee 6, and then was integrated in the Lance and the Saratoga both, and is in the newer Saratogas as well, as what you've probably come to know. So if we take a look at this interior here, it's not a particularly new interior. It was done in 1999, I believe, but it's been kept in exquisite condition. It's in super good condition, both the carpet and the leather as well. Obviously it hasn't been used a ton before us, and when it was taken care of very well. Another nice feature of this aircraft is the cargo door here, so it makes it super easy to get to your cargo space in back here, where you can store 100 pounds of baggage back there, or 150. I'd have to check the books. It's either 100 or 150. And you have that cargo space as well as another cargo space up front between the engine and the instrument panel there, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It's all very simple here, though. It's just a very simple mechanism that closes this door, and then the main door here holds it shut after it latches. But that's one of the nice things about Pipers, is they're a very simple construction generally, so they're while not as durable as maybe Beechcraft Bonanza or something like that, parts are much less expensive, and it's very easy to fix this plane if you were to need to fix it in a pinch. So if we move back here, you'll see the horizontal stabilizer here. It may look like it has de-ice boots on it, but it doesn't. It's just a protective cover that goes on the front leading edge here of the wing. And if you come over here and look at this trailing edge here, what you'll find is this piece here is actually brand new. When we had the plane inspected and had the annual done before we bought it, we found that the previous owner had backed it into the hangar, and this piece had been bent up, as well as the vertical stabilizer, the rudder, I should say, back here. This is all bent in as well. So this piece here was replaced and repainted, and as with the main control surfaces there on your elevator, you have all new linkages here. It's all very tight tolerances on everything, as well as with this rudder, and the rudder skin here is brand new and painted. You can't even tell it's been replaced, but it's brand new. And as far as the paint job goes on the entire plane, the plane was painted, I believe, in '98 or '99. It was around the same time that the interior was done. So again, it's not a super new paint job, but it looks new because it's been hangared, it's been kept in good condition. Alright, so what we have in this plane back here is a panel to get to the ELT. Now this particular aircraft doesn't have the old style ELTs that a lot of them had that go behind the passenger seats. It just almost looks like a small radio. This plane actually has a 406 remote ELT essentially. So it's located right here behind this panel, and then on the instrument panel we have the switch where we can arm it or activate it if you know you're going to have an issue. And you can test as well from in there. So it's super easy to use in that sense. And then over here, it's essentially the same thing as the other side. There's nothing super special. The other wing houses the pitot. It's a heated pitot for IFR flights, essentially, where you would need that de-icing capability in the pitot. And then other than that over here, the same things went on over here. We have the linkages were all, inspected, and everything, super tight tolerances. All right, so up front here you have that other cargo area, which essentially, this is locked and I don't have my keys with me, so I'm not going to open it up for you, but what you have is this section right here, and it goes clear over to the other side, so you have another 100 or so pounds of baggage capability up there. And if you go up front, you'll see this is not the standard cowling that came on the plane. This is the Lopresti Howl cowl, so it's a much more sleek design. Looks a lot like the new Saratogas, and it increases speed on the aircraft by a significant amount, and it also it looks a lot better too. And that upgrade came with the longer polished spinner here. And if you look at the prop, it's a recently inspected and repainted prop. It's I think has a little over 700 hours since the prop overhaul, But the governor, when we had the engine overhauled this past winter, the governor was also overhauled on the prop, so that's all in good condition, and this prop's been beautifully repainted with new stickers, and it looks brand new. It's gorgeous. Alright, so I have opened up the cowling here. It's just a quarter turn fasteners there, and you can see the freshly overhauled engine to factory new limit, so it's essentially a brand new engine here. Everything firewall forward, including all the hoses and wiring's all been redone. There's nothing in there that was original to this engine except for the engine block and all that. That's all original to the plane, which is great. But these cylinders have been redone. This gold color, they look absolutely gorgeous. And we have, I think, about between 60 and 70 hours on the overhaul now, and it's just been running great. Haven't had any issues with it other than we had a injector line failed on us, but that wasn't a big deal. We got it fixed, and it's been running great. Alright, so you'll see here we have a fairly simple panel. We have a standard 6-pack here, so we don't have a glass panel like a G500 or an Aspen in there. That's actually not a bad thing because it forces us to do all of our IFR training with the standard 6-pack, which, even if you're going to transfer over to a glass panel, is a good thing to have because it helps increase your proficiency with raw data, basically. Interpreting data from all of those different instruments and compiling that while you're flying, IFR, IMC conditions. So here we have a 530 WAS with that vertical guidance as well, so that's super great for shooting approaches. We have a 430 there, non-WAS. GTX 345 transponder and a GMA 340 audio panel. So that audio panel is super nice. It allows us to isolate ourselves from anyone in back, and this transponder gives us our ADS-B data into the 530 as well as through Bluetooth into our iPads on ForeFlight. So that's super nice. We also have the Century 2000 autopilot, which has heading mode, but then also GPS steering, which connects to the autopilot for the 530 for both vertical and horizontal guidance when shooting approaches. So it'll fly approach, all the way down to minimums for us with altitude hold. And then over here we have altitude pre-select, which also goes with the Century, so we can set that in before we take off and let the autopilot fly it. EDM 700 graphic engine monitor over here, which gives us our CHTs, EGTs, all that good stuff, which is a super helpful piece of instrumentation to have, especially with a big engine like this, managing temperatures. With that Lopresti cowl, we also have a cowl flap here, which, because of the tightly cowled engine, is pretty necessary. So that's essentially our instrument panel there.